Do you hear that voice in your head and it's telling you that it's time to quit? And the worst part, it's not even telling you that in your target language. You're still thinking in your native language. Maybe it's the grammar, or you haven't hit your goals, or maybe you're just a perfectionist. Maybe you no longer have the time, or maybe you can't find native speakers, or maybe you're just terrible at learning languages. There are times where language learning can be the boulder that has fallen on your arm, crushing it, but holding you in place, trapped and filled with worrisome levels of anxiety. And now you have to ask yourself, do I give up an arm to live the rest of my life? Or do I die with this very same boulder? Well, thankfully, learning a language isn't that life-threatening. So I'm here to tell you that if you want to quit learning a language, it's perfectly okay. There are actually plenty of valid reasons to stop learning a language. I've had to abandon 3 beautiful languages during my lifetime. To Danish, Japanese, and Romanian, I say, riposate in pace. Just like we're cutting languages out of your life, let's cut to the chase and talk about making the right choices, especially if you're learning for the wrong reasons. Me no likey. If you're jumped into a language like an arranged marriage, chances are it's not going to work out. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, me likey this language? If the answer is yes, me likey, then move on. But if the answer is me no likey, this is a huge red flag. Learning a language is like entering a relationship. Do you want to be in an arranged marriage, or do you want to be in a healthy, loving relationship where your significant other isn't leaving their chest hairs in the sink when you need to get ready for work? If you're not into it, it's never going to work. I remember when I started learning Danish. Great language and lovely people. But after a while, much like sushi, I realized it just wasn't for me. Förlåt, men det var så likt svenska. Men med en potatis i munnen. Don't hide your feelings or try to be polite about it. If you do not like a language and you realize it only after learning it for some time, it's completely fine to file for divorce, dump their body in a river, and move on with your life. Languages are supposed to excite you and adore you, not fight you or bore you. So, if you don't like it, say bye-bye. Better things to do. One day you're a kid, carefree and with plenty of time for everything. The next day you're dealing with back pain, a broken bathroom, and the neighbors are being too damn loud. The point is that priorities, wants, and needs change over time. We all have different lifestyles that demand so much of us. Whether you're working multiple jobs or raising 48 children, language learning probably will not be the top priority for you. Therefore, it's probably a better use of your time to focus on something else, something that offers you more bang for your buck. Write down a list of your priorities and what they mean to you. If language learning doesn't happen to make it into the top 5, it's probably not going to be a worthwhile pursuit. Take some time to consider the importance and value of learning a language. It's okay if something else feels more important or exciting to you. No shame in your game. Close encounters. You know what matters? Geography. If you can't smell the language, taste the language, feel the language, and fall in love with the language every day, then you're better off dead. Denmark isn't that far away from Italy, but you know what's closer? Hungary. I hope you can cope with that one, my Copenhageners, because if we hop over the northern Italians who call themselves Austrians, then Italy practically shares a border with Hungary. All jokes aside, there is a huge factor in proximity. I stopped learning Chinese, for example, after I moved back to Rome from Paris, because a Roma non è facile parlare cinese, a parte ovviamente al ristorante cinese. Tandis qu'à Paris, j'avais pas mal d'amis chinois. I'm sorry, Mandarin Chinese, it's not you, it's me. And Japanese? Well, apart from being so different from the other languages I've learned, it also felt so distant. Because Japan is 10,000 miles away from Rome. It's not easy to simply hop on a flight and get to Tokyo. Therefore, be practical with your choices, because otherwise you might reach the point where you have to ask yourself, wait a second, what's the point of learning this damn language again? Cultural disconnection. Languages and culture go together, like Italians and never being on time, the Balkans and cigarettes, and the Germans and following rules. Try as you might, you cannot separate a language from its culture. And if you don't feel connected to the culture, it's really, really hard to stay motivated. My own personal example includes the one major Romance language I never added to my Infinity Gauntlet, Romanian. Beautiful language, but I never knew many Romanians, never tried to Romanian, and never connected with the culture. But Greek? Oh man. Don't even get me started. The food, the history, the islands. Inetelio. So, if you're not vibing with the culture, it's okay to step away. Just make sure that when you do fall in love with the language, you're also in love with the culture and all it has to offer. Love you long time or short time? Sometimes a language just isn't going to be part of your life long term. The one you're learning today may become completely irrelevant to you in 5, 10, or 15 years. That's why I always say, when I fall in love with a language, it's for life. But hey, not every language is meant for a long-term commitment. My exes include Danish, Japanese, and Romanian, and I guess you could say we left on good terms. Matao himade. So, if you don't see yourself using the language down the road, why hold on to it? Let go and be free. Not worth the effort. And now, let's talk about difficulty. Some languages, honestly, just feel like unclimbable mountains. For me, that language was Japanese. The writing system, the grammar, and most of all, its syntax. Forming just one sentence felt like trying to get an honest plumber to do his job in Italy. It just wasn't happening. And it was oh so damn frustrating. But here's the thing. Sometimes it's not goodbye forever. It's just see you later. When you feel like a language is too difficult, it's okay to quit for now and come back to it when you're ready. When you have more experience, better learning strategies, and more drive. Or maybe decide to never come back to it, and that's perfectly fine too. Will I ever go back to Japanese? Maybe, maybe not. And I'm okay with that. Burning out and fading away. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it better to burn out or to fade away? Spending so much time learning a language can start to feel like you're drowning and suffocating yourself in mental quicksand. It's really important to know when to take a break. You can't always be on, and if you are, you're eventually going to go from a shining star to a black hole. Remember, language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. If you need to rest, then rest. The languages will be waiting for you when you're ready to come back. You're good enough. And finally, one of my favorite reasons to quit. You've reached a functional level. Maybe you've hit the B2 level, where you can communicate, travel, even watch TV shows in your target language. That is where I am with Greek. It's far from perfect, but it's pretty functional. I've stopped actively learning it, meaning sitting down and trying to understand every word by reading and listening. But I'm not done with it. I've finally integrated it into my life, using it naturally. That is what you can do when you reach your goal. Switch from learning to living the language. Bravo, mas. If you've lost passion, your priorities have shifted, or you've reached a functional level, it's okay to step back from a language. It's not about quitting. It's about making smart decisions based on what excites you and fits into your life. Or maybe you're not interested in quitting, but you haven't been getting your desired results. Then you're going to love my free ebook, Avoid These Critical Mistakes to Get From Failure to Fluent. You can even listen to it since it comes with the corresponding audiobook. There are a lot of gems in this short but intense piece of language, and I highly recommend you go through it because you will learn first and foremost what not to do with language learning. Just check the link in the description box below. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy language learning.